Today I tested out the Minwax True Black wood stain. I always wear gloves whenever I do staining projects because it's so difficult to get the stain out of your skin, out of your hands. It's easier just to wear a glove. This is one of the dishwashing gloves that you can find at the grocery store. Typically when I have an old t-shirt, I'll cut it up into pieces and then I'll have a bunch of little squares that I will use for staining my furniture or projects that I'm working on. This is the stain that does not have polyurethane added to it. It is strictly stain. Here I am testing out the True Black wood stain with the brush on approach, using a brush as the applicator. I usually use a brush as an applicator with all of my other staining projects. However, I found that the wipe on approach with a rag or an old t-shirt actually looks a lot better. You can actually see the wood grain better and it dries quicker as well. So after testing out the brush as an applicator and the wipe on approach, I decided to go ahead and use the wipe on applicator for the entire tabletop. I always tell people that staining is very easy because it is. Staining is extremely simple. It's easier than painting in my opinion, and people should not be afraid to use stain for their projects. The most difficult part of a stained project is the clear coat. Applying the clear coat can be very tedious and difficult to make sure that you don't have any air bubbles or any rough spots. It's more difficult to do a clear coat than it is to stain, and it's more difficult to do a clear coat than it is to paint as well. So staining is very easy, but using clear coat is what makes staining difficult if you are going to use a clear coat applicator. The key to having a good stained project is to make sure that your surface area is dust free. You want to make sure that you get all the sawdust and sanding dust off of the work surface before you use the stain and before you apply the stain. You can use what I use is a small brush to brush off all the dust, and then I'll go and use a tack cloth to get all the fine particles of dust off of the table. This prevents me from having any bumps or rough edges or spots on my surface whenever it's complete. I only show one coat of stain being applied to this table. However, I did come back and do a second coat of stain, and it did darken everything up even more, and you could still see the wood grain showing through, and you can see in the final photos what that looked like. Alright, now I'm going to let you listen to some sweet tunes while I finish staining this table. Here is the table complete with one coat of stain on it. You can see up close that there are some light spots where the stain didn't soak in as much, and that's why I ended up doing a second coat of stain on this, and it turned out really well. Also, when you look at the table from a distance, it looks like a very deep true black. However, it did take a second coat to get that darkness whenever looking at the table up close. And this is the final product with the table decorated and all. I hope you enjoyed the video.